Hi there everybody, welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Toyota Aygo. This is a 2017 the 1-liter automatic, and this engine is the KR engine, the 1KR engine. I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter. Just going to show you where to top up some screen wash fluid as well, and we're going to have a look at the level of the coolant and the percentage of antifreeze. This car takes 2.8 liters of oil according to the technical data, and I'm going to be using 5W30 as usual. Also, the filter I'm going to be using is this Bosch one here, P2028, just that one there basically. That is the oil filter, and I'm also going to be replacing the air filter in it which is why I actually have an air filter here by Blueprint ADT322115. So I'm gonna start with just showing you where to put some screen wash fluid. That goes in here. You open that, I already filled it up. Pour it in there. I recommend buying the ready mixed one and just pouring it straight in. If you buy concentrated one, you have to mix it yourself. Obviously I usually buy concentrated because it's a bit cheaper for me doing so many cars. So I don't recommend putting just water in there, especially in winter. It freezes and it doesn't come out, doesn't clean your windscreen when you need it. So make sure you put the proper stuff in there. And let's move on to the coolant. So the coolant in this car, I'm just shining a light here. It's on this tank here. It will be a little bit difficult to show you, but there is a full mark there with a line, and that's where you want your antifreeze to be at. So this particular one, it's right at the full, so it's a perfect level, no need to do anything. And you can also observe the color is kind of pinkish reddish color of antifreeze in there. And now I've got this little gadget here you can use for checking the percentage of antifreeze. So if we open this little cover here, I'm gonna try to put that in there and suck some of that antifreeze. So I just need to make sure it sucks properly. Right, that is just settling at around minus 17 or so. So basically that means the temperature outside will have to be minus 17 for this liquid to freeze. So that's more or less a good level. Normally we have them a little bit less than that. So okay, now showing about minus 20. And that is a little bit more what I'm looking for. So also this gadget can let you see the color of the antifreeze and also whether it's clean or it's dirty or what is going on in there. So in this case it looks nice and clear, looks pink, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the level, and I'm happy with the percentage of antifreeze in there. So nothing to do there. Obviously, if you found your antifreeze is not at the full, you need to start investigating where is the coolant going. Could be leaking from the radiator, hoses, anywhere like that. So that would be a job for another day if I had the same issue. Also, if you didn't have a good amount of antifreeze and it was showing -5 or not even showing anything, you want to make sure that maybe you drain the coolant and add antifreeze to your system, because if that liquid in there freezes, again, it can damage the engine. So again, make sure you don't just put antifreeze in there or just water in there. You need to mix it. Again, depending where you live. If you live in the UK, maybe 50-50. If you live in Antarctica, maybe you need 80% antifreeze or more. And however, same if you live in the desert, maybe you want less antifreeze. Goes without saying. Now we're gonna move on to the air filter here. Air filter, it's in this location. Gonna open this little clips there, and should be able to lift this cover here, just like that. Well, I got one hand at the moment, so that's our filter there. That isn't that bad, but it's been there a long time. It looks like that may be the genuine one, Toyota Denso, made in Poland. Right, got my nice brand new placement here. This car actually, it's only done 14,000 miles, so that's one of the reasons why filter looks fairly clean. So just want to make sure this closes properly, and then you can push the clamps on. Hang on. Okay, that is done. Fairly simple so far. Now we're gonna move on to the oil filter and the oil, and for that I'm just gonna pull the dipstick here, just pull it out and open this oil filter cap here, and I'm just gonna leave it open there. That just allows some air into the system while we drain it from underneath. So let's get the car up and drain the system and change the filter from underneath. Okay, let's take the filter out. That filter will not be too tight in there, because usually we get it in by hand. But as time goes by, it sort of gets a little bit tightened. It's a little bit harder to remove by hand. So I'm gonna use one of these. Okay, so it's a size 65. Just to be able to see that. And like I said, it should hopefully not be too tight anyway. Right, once it's loose, you can remove the tool, so you can see some oil leaking from there already. Leaking from everywhere. Okay, let me just get that out a little bit more. Let it drain. And that filter is, again, it looks like a genuine one. Toyota genuine. Right. So if you want to buy a genuine one, that's what it is. 90915 YZZJ1. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Right, now I'm just gonna let that drain for a few minutes and then we'll come back to it. So while the oil is draining, we have our sun plug bolt here. It's got a washer there. You could always inspect this washer, and if you haven't got a new one, in this case I have a copper one to replace, but this isn't looking that bad. I could easily use this for another time. So if you're stuck and you didn't get a washer, you can reuse it. not the end of the world. But in this case, I have a new one, so I will be using a new one. And another thing, I prepared my oil here. I just put some grease around it, around the o-ring there. So you can put a bit of grease or a bit of oil around it. And also we're going to just wipe the shiny area where that filter sits. Just wipe it clean, make sure it's nice and clean. And then we can fit our oil back in there. Now, I'm sure some people would actually add a little bit of oil in here before fitting it. I'm not gonna do it, but you can fill this filter with oil before you put it in here. Just make sure you measure how much you're putting in there, so you don't overfill the engine later. So tighten that by hand, and we're done with that. Now I'm still waiting for that to drip for another 5 minutes or so, then I'm gonna put the sunplug bolt. Okay, I'm gonna fit my bolt back in with the new washer there. And also I have a torque wrench here. The technical data says between 25 and 27 Newton meters, so I set these to 27, and that's it. So 27 Newton meters is not a lot of force, so just be careful with that if you're not using a torque wrench. I don't normally use a torque wrench, but just for the purpose of video I'm using one, and that isn't a lot of force at all. So the next thing will be to clean the area here, leave it all nice and clean the way it was before we started. So I'm just using some brake cleaner here, just to leave the area nice and clean, because next time you do the service, if you find any oil around here, then perhaps you will know whether it's coming from above, or if you didn't clean the area, obviously you could get confused. So again, goes without saying. Now I'm going to lower the car and we can put some oil. Okay, let's get some oil in there. So I just got a funnel in there, and also if you look at your dipstick, as the manual shows you, there are 2 dots here. This area here defines the normal area. If your oil was below this, it's low. If it's above this, it's excessive. So if you were checking your oil and you're somewhere between this dot and this dot, it's a normal area to be at. Obviously, if you were towards this end, you want to top up a little bit. However, today we're aiming to be somewhere in the higher area because we are putting oil in. So I already put 2.6 liters in there. Just went a little bit ahead of myself, but you don't really need to see me putting 2 liters of oil in there. And if you notice here, you might be able to see the oil. It's right at the max there. It's on the dot at the top there. This here is a bubble, so ignore that. Right, so it's up here. So far, so good. So I put 2.5 or 2.6 liters. I'm gonna add another 0.2 now. Okay, and that's it. Now obviously if I check this, the oil will be above on the area of the overfilling, but once you run the engine, the oil will go down into the, it will go down because some of the oil will go into the oil filter housing. So, got the engine running, it's running nice and sweet. So after running it a few seconds, you can double check the oil here. So I'm just gonna clean that. And I may have put a little bit over 2.8, but anyway, just want to show you how the oil actually does go down. So, well, actually, you can see it's just gone down there, just below that dot. So obviously I'm checking it quite straight away without letting it rest for 5 minutes or so. All the oil will go down, which might make the oil go up a little bit more into the max area there. But I'm happy with that. And having said that, I hope the video helps. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.